Good afternoon. Today's video is brought to you by the spectacular specimens of humanity that support this channel on Patreon. I've made a couple of changes to that, so now it's on a per month basis. So if you have the ability to throw in a couple of dollars per month, it really helps me to bring these sorts of videos to you. Anyway, today we are talking about mouthpieces. This is a cornet mouthpiece, and it is just one of an infinite number of different sorts of and shapes and sizes of mouthpieces that you can get, and they are the interface between the player and the instrument, which in this case is a cornet. Mouthpieces come with a huge variety of configurations. The rim diameter and size, the thickness of it, can be varied on a fraction of a millimeter basis. The depth of the cup, the width of the hole, the throat, the bore, the whole lot is infinitely configurable. Manufacturers will sell you a mouthpiece that looks, well, it could sell you a dozen different mouthpieces that look very similar and would be indistinguishable almost to the naked eye, and yet the differences will result in a profound effect on the player. For example, on my cornet I use two mouthpieces regularly. This here is a Dennis Wick 5B. This is my bread and butter mouthpiece. That's what I use most of the time when I play. I find it works well for me, but I don't have very good endurance with the mouthpiece. So if I'm going to play for long extended periods of time, I actually use a different mouthpiece, because even though I get a worse tone on it, to my own ears at least, it allows me to play for longer. If I look at my trumpet, I use a 3C, Dennis Wick 3C mouthpiece for bread and butter use, but if I'm going to play something very high, I'll use a Shilky or something like that, because that works the best for me. The big problem with mouthpieces, of course, though, is that, at least in New Zealand, there's nowhere where you can walk into a shop with your instrument, spend a few hours going through every different variation and finding the one that works best for you. Most cases, buying a mouthpiece is a matter of looking online, reading some reviews, and really hoping for the best, which is a shame, because that's not really how you're going to get the best results. Anyway, this video is more specifically going to focus on a different area of mouthpiece, and specifically we're going to talk about a very obscure niche of mouthpiece design, and that is with the asymmetric mouthpieces. So this mouthpiece here is an example of an asymmetric mouthpiece, because it isn't round, it is an oval shape, and that weird shape of the rim is one of the things that you see on some types of asymmetric mouthpieces. This is a Cauffman Parabolic cornet mouthpiece. It's a bit weird, but it was something that was quite popular several decades ago. Some of the other things that you'll see with asymmetric mouthpieces is you'll see the hole off-center slightly. You will see the rim, and some of them will have extra bits of metal to cushion your lower lip, and you'll see all sorts of different things. And they all have similar claims. They'll claim to be universally spectacular. You'll be able to have tremendous high range, tremendous low range, and a beautiful tone, everlasting endurance, all those sorts of things. And in my experience, there is no mouthpiece, there is no panacea of mouthpieces that provides you with fantastic high and low ranges, fantastic endurance, fantastic tone quality. You just don't see that. And the reason for that, one of the reasons for that, is that what works well for me isn't necessarily going to work well for Tom, and that's not necessarily going to work well for Bertha or any of those other people who try to use a mouthpiece, and that's why so many infinite variations apply. But anyway, what I'm going to do with this video is give you a bit of an auditory comparison opportunity. I'm going to play a couple of very short extracts out of a piece of music. Firstly, on my Dennis Wick 5B. Secondly, with this parabolic asymmetric mouthpiece orientated horizontally, meaning the wide plane of the oval is horizontal, and then again with it vertically. And I'll allow you to hear the different sounds that are produced. So, what do I think of this construction, this thing here, this specific Cauffman Parabolic asymmetric mouthpiece? Well, it is bizarre. When I first started playing it, all of my notes were incredibly fluffy. And you can hear some of that breathiness yourself, perhaps, when I play. There is no denying the fact that it helps me to play very high. I can play notes, high Fs and so forth, very easily with this mouthpiece, but that is, I suspect, a lot more due to the fact that it has a much shallower cup than my normal bread and butter cornet mouthpiece does. And as a result of having that much shallower cup, it sounds a lot more brassy, a lot more direct, a lot more trumpet-like, really. And so my experience of this mouthpiece is effectively the same as if I was playing on a smaller on a normal sized mouthpiece with a shallower cup, apart from the fact it just feels very odd against the chops. And that is due to its unusual, it's not really asymmetric because it is symmetric, but its unusual shape, its deformed shape. With a normal mouthpiece, when you start to get a bit tired, when your lips start going, it's usually somewhat gradual and you can rest your lips for a couple of moments and then go on for a little bit. With this particular mouthpiece, you hit that wall very, very suddenly. You find yourself losing your endurance and bang! You're finished. That's about it. The instrument, the mouthpiece at that point is very unforgiving. And so effectively what we have here is a shallow cup mouthpiece that you can play very high on. You can push notes out more like a trumpet and have them sound more like a trumpet. And I don't think any of those characteristics of this mouthpiece are necessarily due to its shape. In terms of the oval rim, I think that's more due to the fact that it has a shallow cup.